Hello, my name is Jacqueline Pollauf, and today I wanted to talk about an aspect of preparation for harp repair, and that is removing the base of the harp. Many types of harp repair take place down at the bottom, involving the pedals, and in order to access all of that, you have to be able to remove the base of your harp. So that's all I'm going to do today, is I'm going to show you how to take the base off and how to put it back on, because this is an important step of preparation for many types of harp repair. And it's pretty straightforward to do. The only tool that you need is a tuning key, just a standard harp tuning key. So for pedal harps specifically, rather than lever harps, the entire base is made to be detachable. So starting right from the top of this piece, just below the lip, all the way down, that's the section of the harp that we'll be removing. As you can see here, I have the harp lying on its side, and your harp needs to be horizontal in order to remove the base. If you've never put a harp on its side before, I actually have a separate video showing several different approaches for the best way to get your harp safely and securely onto its side like this. Here we are, looking at the bottom of the harp, which is of course not a very common view. And the base is just held on by 4 bolts. And they're made to be removed actually with your tuning key rather than with a wrench or a screwdriver or something like that. So you can tell the 4 bolts that you want because they have a little rectangular piece protruding, just like your tuning pins on your harp. I'm going to take my tuning key and just attach it to the first bolt here, and then I'll twist to the left to unscrew it. After you've gone around several times, you can stop using your tuning key and just use your fingers. Eventually it should pull right out like that. Then you can go ahead and set this bolt aside, but it's important to keep track of which bolt corresponds with which hole, so that way when we're putting the base of the harp back on, you can match those two up. Then I'll move on to the next one, just repeating the same process. Then the third over here. And finally, this last one. So there we have removed all 4 bolts that hold the base of the harp on. Now I would check to make sure that all of your pedals are in flat, the topmost position, or else they will unintentionally hold the base on. And with the pedals in flat and the 4 bolts removed, you can just grab onto your base and kind of wiggle it off. And then you have removed the base of the harp. With the base removed, you have access to the pedals and the pedal springs and the pedal rods, all different things that you might need to be working with for a repair. And when you've completed that, then you're ready to put the base back on. First, I would make sure that your pedals are all lined up. These pedals up here have kind of moved. They should be right on top of the red felt should be right on top of the white slot felt, like these down here. So we'll just sort of put those back roughly into position. And then looking at your base, there are 2 things that you need to line up. One are all of these slots here for the pedals themselves. And then there's these small pins sticking out, and those correspond to these little holes in between the pedals. We will go ahead and kind of wiggle the base into position, checking to make sure that everything is lining up. You can even at this point put a couple pedals into natural to hold the base in position. And once everything lines up, you can just firmly push to make sure that it's all nicely on, like that. Next, we will put the bolts back in place, making sure to put each bolt in the same location from which you removed it. And sometimes it can be a little hard to see if it's lining up properly in there. If you're having that issue, you can just use a flashlight, to look and get a better view of everything inside the harp. Usually first I put them in and give them a few twists with my fingers just to make sure they're sort of loosely in place, and then I go back and use my tuning key to tighten them up. So here I am tightening with the tuning key. You want to make sure that they're firmly in place, but they don't need to be absolutely as tight as possible. Just a nice firm tightness works well. When all of your bolts are successfully tightened, then your bass is properly back on your harp and you are all set. You can go ahead and stand it up vertically. We have gone ahead and removed and replaced the base of the harp. And if you're going to try this at home, I hope you find this video useful.